everybody doing? How are you doing? You missed me. I missed you. Please, family, please, if you are in there, cost you no monies. No monies to hit that like button while you're in there. Just hit it. It costs you absolutely nothing to hit the like button. It costs you absolutely nothing to subscribe. If you want to donate, you can go to donatebrown.com or patreon.com/WaCarnell. I am here again to give you the Woody Woodpecker energy. That's what I'm here for. I'm doing okay. Could be better. We do what we can. Chest out, chin up. And fam, do not forget, we are coming close to the day I put the book up. July the 30th. That is coming upon us. Today is the 22nd. So we are very close to reading this book right here, having the book club meeting as we do. Immigration and the Remaking of Black America. When we do have a book, we read it on the last Thursday. Depending on what was that doing there? Depending on whether or not folks like this book or whatever, that will, and how much enthusiasm there is around the book, that will decide whether or not we have the second day on Friday to discuss the book. But the last time, I remember when we read like They Were Her Property and stuff, it was just a lot. We could not do it. So we had to keep pushing, and for the days, and we had some stuff we had to do because it was just too much and too many emotions around it and things like that. So we're going to see with this book, if we have energy. Now, we can do that. Now, I want to ask you a question. Is this a mussel or a chicken wing? Drumette. Not wing, drumette. Which one is that? Is that a mussel or a drumette? Is that strength or is that bird parts? Food or protein or whatever, however you would have, depending on whether you eat meat or don't eat meat, depends on what a chicken wing is or a chicken leg is or a drumette is to you. What I'm asking is, what is that to you? Now you can vote. Is that a turkey leg? Might be a turkey leg. Might be a turkey leg. Look like a little bit like a chicken leg. But how many would think that's a bicep? Right? I just want to know, chat. Is that a bicep? Well, a snail. It could be. Yeah. When you look at it that way, I can see how you could feel that way about it. But I say that for a very specific reason. And I ask that for a very specific reason, because I think some of us are confusing strength with turkey legs. And we don't understand what strength is. We look at that and say, that's strong. That person used some strong words. That is strong. That person right there, like they said in the chat, they arm wrestle and they can really tear one down. What I'm saying is that I think we confuse things. And I think a lot of the people who are confusing things, be it out of good intentions or bad intentions, I think we confuse that as power. Yeah, get behind them. I think we confuse that as power. We confuse loudness as power. We confuse getting brash as power. And that is the same thing as something else. You can't see the two things as the same. So what happened with a lot of these celebrities who took the attention away from what we were trying to put the attention on, whether they meant to or not? What a lot of these celebrities are doing is the same thing that other people are doing in terms of trying to erase and evade reparations and the reparations conversation, the very specific and surgical reparations conversation that ADOS is trying to have. We have been very specific. We have been very disciplined in our rhetoric for a reason, and I don't need nobody coming to mess that up, even if your intentions are good. So I'm going to show you how these two things are alike. And just follow me with it, and we're going to get to it. So this article came out a few days ago. Last month. I'm sorry. It came out June. Okay? And I'm going to bring it all the way around. Let me just frame it. I'm going to frame this for you and show how it's all the same. How this erasure of ADOS and the people who kind of take everybody away from ADOS to a whole different conversation, how it's all really the same thing. Just give me a moment and I'm going to do that. Because it has to be done. So, how reparations for slavery became a 2020 campaign issue. Now, in this article, and you can read the article for yourself, I don't want to get too deep into the article, but I will just tell you that we are not mentioned. A lot of people in the article say they don't know. Something just changed. There was a lot of forgetfulness in the article. Even Dr. Sandy Darity, who we elevated and we appreciate, said there was a sea change. But there was no mention of ADOS in terms of the creation of the sea change. I will assume that was a mistake. The second mistake, but I will assume that. I assume good intentions all the time. But in order to stay the course, everybody got to stay the course. We can't have nobody off the course. We can't have that. We are the grassroots engine that leads this movement, and I need everybody to understand that. I don't need any forgetfulness or amnesia, because what I had, this sounds suspiciously. I'm very suspicious of a lot of things. And so I go back all the time to this. When I hear stuff like that, because people get bullied. Sometimes it's not even your fault that you got bullied into saying, well, don't include ADOS. I don't know what's happening. I'm just saying. I'm just calling a thing. And I'm going to get to how all this relates to all this kind of pushing us aside relates to TI and all this other wild kind of plans people came up with. It's all the same, just pushing us off and coming up with some new stuff that look like you just took a Black history course. Listen, it's not good enough. But the stuff I just heard in that article from June sounds a lot like what I heard from the woman who works at the Times. If y'all made a centuries long effort, a national discussion, you would be a part of the national discussion. Now I want you to pay. We talk on this thing about paying particular attention to language. Language is important. She said, if y'all made a centuries-long effort, a national discussion, you'd be a part of the national discussion. Hold on a minute. We have been part of the national discussion. This cut us out of the discussion. It is beginning to sound like, once again, that there is a concerted effort to cut us out. Now, what happened before? This is different. This is different, family. What happened before was a specific effort to smear us. That was first. The smear was first. They gonna smear us to death. So the smear didn't work. So you can just say, how did this happen? And you don't mention us, and nobody mentions us. Right? Even the people that we work with. No, what is happening here? So let me just go back and I'm going to show you this is all the same thing. So I think everybody needs a history lesson. This was an article in the Times, but the Times, we were in your paper. The front page cover of your paper talking about reparations. Now let's go back. The front page of the paper that you just said you just ignored us, we were on that front page. There is a whole hijacking of everything going on right now, and I'm here to talk about it. I don't care whose feelings get hurt, that's on you. Now, let's go to something else though. We talking about Nicole Hannah-Jones said if we were a part of the national discussion, we'd be part of the national discussion. Well, Nicole Hannah-Jones, your paper, the owners of your paper sold slaves and all. We're not gonna talk about, we're gonna get into that. The 2020 Democratic primary and debate over reparations explained. This Vox article really got into who was driving the discourse during that time. Who was driving the quote unquote sea change. This article really gets into who made the sea change possible. The 2020 Democratic primary debate over reparations explained. Now, who might have done this? Who was responsible? Who? More recently, online calls for reparations have been driven by a grassroots movement of Black activists specifically advocating on behalf of American descendants of slavery, or ADOS, as the movement has been called. In an interview with Vox earlier this year, Antonio Moore and Yvette Cornell, the co-founders of the most prominent voices, in the current ADOS movement, explained that they believe that ADOS should be seen as a specific identity. So in 2019, everybody was really clear. Everybody was very, very clear on who started what. This was ADOS. We didn't have as many chapters. We didn't have a lot of the chapters going on as much as we do now. But everybody was very clear that this energy was us. That this data, this specificity was us. Right? When it comes to reparations, Moore says, we're not having an abstract conversation. we're not having an abstract conversation about what whiteness and blackness makes you feel. We're having a very detailed conversation about what the data means for black people. That was Antonio in 2019. This is very curious that somehow everybody got confused. I don't know how everybody got confused. And I don't know how people who used to not be confused are now confused. Everybody wasn't confused beforehand, but everybody's confused about who did what, when, how, where it happened, how it happened. I don't know. I didn't see it happen. We're talking about, go to the bottom right here. We're talking about repairing black communities, he adds. Ain't that something? Now, let me bring this up really, really quick, because this all has the same effect. On Twitter and through online radio programs and YouTube channels, Moore and Carnell have argued that policy and politicians need to focus more on the specific issues affecting black Americans descended from slavery in the U.S. They call for reparations as part of a larger black agenda that looks at things like ending mass incarceration, investing in historically black colleges and universities, and increasing federal investment in small businesses, small black businesses, of course. But wait a minute, this is us. What is this article saying? What is this article saying? That all of that the reparations movement was built by ADOS. That's me. That's Antonio. That's you. That's everybody at the chapters. That's everybody who couldn't be here tonight, but it's still that's everybody at the conference. What? We're gonna get to celebrities in a minute because it's all the same. Wait a minute. It wasn't just Vox who said this. They gave us an awful headline, but when you get into the awful controversial group ADOS divides black Americans in fight for economic equality. And they're right. We are controversial, but we shouldn't be. Nobody did the politics for us not to be controversial. So let's just go into it. Let's just go into what they said. Because this is, look at this date. Hold on one second. What was this date on this one? Since everybody has amnesia. This was January the 19th of this year. Everybody has amnesia about how everything happened. These voices are leveraging anger over a racial wealth gap that has persisted over the decades. Average white wealth, when they talk about, they talk about the wealth gap. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find the clip I'm looking for. The movement, which has gained traction on social media in recent months, has attracted the attention of some academics like Cornel West and politicians like Williamson, talking about Merriam-Webster, who spoke at an event for the group in the fall. Though many are loath to associate themselves with it, either or against. Who are they talking about? Any ideas? Well, here you go. ADOS singular focus on black descendants of slavery and its supporters' often combative approach has sparked controversy and comparisons to a long line of nativist thinking that has gained traction from time to time throughout U.S. history. They confuse nativists and nationalists, but everybody was talking about us because, you know why? They were talking about us because we were doing it. We got everybody here. And let me show you, credit matters. Credit absolutely matters, because if you don't, people like, Yvette, why does it matter who get credit? Because you don't get credit, people run off and act like you don't exist. If you don't get credit, you a ghost. You want to be a ghost? There are also concerns from some critical of ADOS that the hashtag is linked to posts spreading disinformation and political division ahead of the presidential election. However, ABC News found no concrete evidence that the ADOS movement is part of the disinformation campaigns that plagued the 2016 election. So, yep, they found that we didn't do nothing wrong. We led this. We built this. We got us here. Credit matters. That's just what it is. Before people forgot us, they had poor little Malcolm Nance out here doing all kind of wild stuff to discredit us. Remember him? People try to discredit us. Now they don't want to mention us. Also in the article, Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore are the two most followed ADOS activists on social media. They have both engaged in heated and controversial exchanges on Twitter and what might some call targeted harassment. Ain't nobody target nobody. You probably threw a chair at me first. But that's not the point, Yvette. Keep it moving, stay focused. And Darity was very clear. He was very clear. He was very clear during that interview. He said, Black American descendants of slavery have a distinctive ethnic identity because of our distinctive origins in the community that was enslaved in the United States, he said. That distinctive identity, he said, is the central premise of ADOS. I don't know how everybody was unclear. I don't know how everybody who was unclear. And now you were unclear. Everybody needs to get clear. It's time for everybody to get clear right now. Now I'm finna get to these celebrities. Don't worry. Because everybody needs to get clear on what's happening and what needs to happen. Everybody's tired of these games that people want to play. I don't care what kind of game you in. That game is over. We're not doing the speaking fee game. We're not doing none of them games where you run off with the bag. Everybody used to be clear. I just need everybody to be clear again. That's all. I need everybody to be clear. I'm just here for clarity. That's all. That's all I want. Eddie S. Glaude, like somebody said in the chat, gave us credit. Right? ADOS effort led by Breaking Brown and Tone Talks has been responsible for the dramatic surge of interest in Black reparations, an impressive accomplishment in light of the long history of reparations being a marginalized policy and now becoming a serious policy topic. And I only bring this up because I need everybody to be clear. But I watched the TED Talk with Dr. Darity, respectfully. I read this, and in both articles, it just says a sea change happened. A sea change happened. If a tree falls in the night, something happen somewhere, asteroid fell. I just need everybody to be clear. And this movement is going to be controversial and attacked because nobody did the work prior. Nobody said that we are a distinct group, a distinct lineage. Nobody said that. And now that everybody's saying that, of course it is controversial to a lot of people. And you can't care about that if you're going to fight this fight. If you're going to care about that, you can't care who like you. You can't care if Nicole Hannah-Jones speak to you no more. I would prefer if she never spoke to me. I don't give a care. I don't care if she talked to me. You can't be running around here. Listen, the only thing I want to be known for, if I could be known, Yvette and Tone got this reparation stuff started again, and they got us reparations going to be multi-generational. I don't care about who speaks to me. In the frame of that, nothing else matters, and it can't matter. You have to be a person who is either in this fight or you ain't in this fight. That's just what it is. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what you do. I don't care how young you are. You either in this fight or you ain't in this fight. I don't care about your relationships. I don't care about who shuns you. And I see everything. I don't speak on everything, but I see everything. I see everything. So, we have to make it clear. We have to make it clear, family. We just have to make sure everybody understands everything. Everybody got to be on the same page. I'm just checking to make sure everybody's on the. You know how sometimes you just have a check. Let's do a check. Is we all on the same page? Let's do a check. That's it. That's all. Again, ADOS effort led by Breaking Brown and Tone Talks has been responsible for the dramatic surge of interest in Black reparations, an impressive accomplishment in light of the long history of reparations being a marginalized policy and now being a serious policy topic. The end. You know, this should not be the fight that we're having. Let me go back. Let me go back to this article really quickly to show you who are watching right now how big you are. Because watch, look at this. Remember this from the ABC article? Despite the conversations involving ADOS are happening frequently online. A social listening tool by Brand24 shows that in one recent week, there were over 25,000 conversations across social media, including the term ADOS, with an engagement reach of over 56,000. And that was way back then, right? This is now. I haven't even looked to see what it is now. Moore said that 2,000 people showed up to attend the ADOS. It was the ADOS conference that he put together with Cornell in Kentucky this past October. Right? Let's just call it what it is. Let's just call it what it is. Can we do that? Which black American should get reparations? Washington Post. They interviewed Dr. Darity. The ADOS movement, a key challenge Darity and his partners concede, will be convincing the public that reparations are achievable. Darity's efforts will be both furthered and complicated by his public association with a but outspoken online movement called American Descendants of Slavery, or ADOS, which draws a stark distinction between lineage and descendants and slave descendants and that of American-born descendants of black immigrants. Again, ADOS is not invisible. So what is Nicole Hannah-Jones talking about? Nicole Hannah-Jones, you are ignorant. How do you not know? Well, if y'all was part of the conversation, you would be part of the conversation. If y'all was part of the conversation, you would be part of the conversation. How do you not know? We were part of the conversation before you got here, dear. You're late, actually, and wrong about a lot of stuff. How do you not know that? How are you doing things at the New York Times to erase what we've done in this space? So the New York Times has us there talking about reparations at our conference, and you're doing things to undermine your own paper. You're doing things to rewrite the history of this movement that you weren't a part of. You didn't do nothing but write bad articles. And I some kind of sense that you're in the mix of a lot of this stuff. But let's go back to this Washington Post article I just brought up. The group, like Darity, advocates that reparations be strictly reserved for those who can trace their lineage to enslaved people held in the United States, excluding the children of more recent African and Caribbean immigrants who have also been subject to race-based discrimination. Who gives a care? Like, understand this. You chose to come to we've talked about this, but you chose to come to a racist country. You don't get to be like, no, we're talking about slavery, Jim Crow, all of that. You didn't experience that. This is so stupid that we keep having to have this dumb conversation. But let me just say this. That's us. Once again, we're in here. Everybody knows it's us. It ain't nobody else. Ain't nobody else's name in here. Ain't no other group's name in here. Ain't no other acronym in here. It's just us. That framing has rankled many activists, some of whom have documented being harassed online by ADOS supporters who have long adopted a more Pan-Africanist ideology and see more effort to delineate among various whatever. This is old dumb stuff. This is some old Jared Ball stuff he just throw together. Some old stuff he just throw together. Let me see if I can find the other part. Let me see if I can find a longer quote. Okay, here we go. Let me see. In interviews, half a dozen activists and academics praised Darity's work, but found themselves perplexed by his willingness to associate with ADOS. ADOS is the only way any of this works. It's the only way. It is the only way. It is the only way. See, fam, let me tell you something. Right now, what even when you talk about the Bible, sometimes people talk about Jesus this and how they don't like Jesus and Jesus did. Listen, you don't think he got whitewashed? What they're doing now is the same stuff. They're just everybody's trying to rewrite history and take it. You got a bunch of people trying to run and get a bag and run and get attention. They losing money. And so you got a lot of whitewashing going on. You got a lot of stuff going on. Right? Got a lot of stuff going on. I don't know what's going on. I can't prove what's going on with Nicole and Jones. I'm just saying it's suspicious. It's a lot of suspicious stuff. I don't know, but it looks like you at the paper and the paper's writing some stuff about and we ain't in it. It's very suspicious. I'm just saying I have suspicions. I have suspicions of revisionism. Those are my suspicions. I have every right to my suspicions, but I was bored at night, like last night. Right? I have every right to my suspicions. Of course, I cannot prove anything. I know. I can't prove that. I cannot prove it. I cannot. But I have suspicions. Don't you have suspicions? Now, I don't know about this other stuff that's going on. I have suspicions about a lot of stuff. Because this thing that's happening is the same as Nick Cannon and them. In a way. Because let me just say why. Let me just tell y'all something. I didn't talk about none of this stuff. And shout out to the Be the Power YouTube. Y'all pointed out something that I didn't even point out on this show. That the number of I think it was co-sponsors of HR 40 went from 200 to like 125. Not after Ta-Nehisi Coates, who everybody gives all the credit to, but after we started doing what we were doing in terms of making it a part, not in 2014, but in 2000 in the primary in like 2019. Because of what ADOS did, not because of what Ta-Nehisi did. I didn't want none of this. I don't want, in terms of this fight, you shouldn't have to fight a fight. This common sense is common sense stuff. But let me just go to something else real quick. I have not, if you check my timeline, I have not tweeted about anybody. We had two. I didn't even Be the Power. We had two co-sponsors of HR 40, and we went to 125, from 2 to 125 because of ADOS. I didn't even talk about that because I didn't even think about it that way in terms of people who were giving Ta-Nehisi Coates the credit. 2 to 125. So you went from two sponsors of HR 40 to like 125 or whatever they said on Be the Power. Shout out to y'all because that was some good content. So it's obvious that ADOS did that and Ta-Nehisi didn't do that. Because your article, the case for reparation, came out in 2014. And nothing moved. Everybody said how wonderful it was and they had wine parties for you. And nothing moved. That means that article was good in theory, but it had no power. The grassroots always has the power, and the power is always with the people. And you had no people. And I say that to say this, that the people are important. The people are more important than the celebrities. We've talked about how celebrities are used for social engineering. To make you can have it too. You see these people out here, they doing well, you can do well too. You can go get the bag, you just ain't trying hard enough. We got all the same hours in the day. No, it was the people who did what we did because ADOS, all of y'all out there got on the phones. You started chasing down, shout out to JP File and all the y'all. You started chasing down representatives and asking them and taping them and saying, are you a co-sponsor of HR 40? That wasn't nobody but ADOS doing that. And now we're being robbed of that. Wasn't no black celebrity doing that. But all of a sudden, black celebrity done woke up. Now, I ain't got no problem. We got a few educated black celebrities out there who inform themselves. That's what I told Killer Mike. He said, well, what should black celebrities do? I said, you got to inform yourself before you do anything. Before black celebrity does anything, you have to make sure that you are an informed human being. You can't run around and act like you know stuff you don't know. So, when all this Nick Cannon and T.I. and Kanye stuff came out, I did not say a word. I especially did not say a word after the Nick Cannon stuff came out. Sometimes you have to understand things, family. Sometimes you have to understand things you don't necessarily want to understand. I have no issue with Nick Cannon at all. I used to watch Wild 'N Out when I was young or whatever. Fun TV. I have no issue with any of that. I didn't say anything about it because I knew he was going to have to walk it back. Sometimes when you see something and you know it's going to get reversed, you know that this person ain't got no choice. He got to walk this back, because that's what I mean when I say powerless posturing. You got to walk that back. Now, I know what you said, Nick. I know you tried to come out and you tried to kind of save face in terms of you tried to kind of come out and say you wanted the rights to your let me see. You tried to, and black people gotta stop, y'all gotta stop demanding stuff. This ain't no hostage negotiation. This ain't even the right language. I don't even know what language y'all be using when you gonna demand some stuff. But that ain't even the right language. Language, people. Language is important. But you came out and you went out hard and you was demanding the next day, you was demanding rights to the Wild 'N Out. I'm watching all this and I know you gonna have to walk it back. I'm not gonna say anything because I know you gotta walk it back. The problem, though, is that there are a lot of people who did not know that you were going to have to walk it back. They see you as powerful. And he can do his own, and he can have his own whatever. They don't understand that in terms of wealth in this country, and in terms of networks and distribution and money, you're going to have to walk it back. Now, I didn't agree with, I thought a lot of stuff he said was wild, and don't confuse me with agreeing with that, okay? Because there's a way to talk about racism, and even no matter who it is, in terms of white America, and having that conversation. You don't have it the way he had it with the information that he had. It wasn't good information. You don't have it like that. There's a way to have a good conversation. And if you had called me or reached out to me, or we would have told you, don't do that. Here's the way to frame the conversation in a way that's not offensive, or it's going to get you in a lot of trouble where you're going to have to walk it back. And then so when I know you got to walk it back, I'm just going to sit here and watch. I'm not going to say nothing. I'm going to watch you say what you say, and I'm going to watch what happens when you say what you say. And I'm going to watch how many other people get in trouble when you say what you say. Because what happened is that a lot of other people, see, Nick Cannon put up a bunch of tweets after that about he had to walk it back and he had to apologize and do all that stuff, right? Because the information he had was just, it was out there. And I don't know how you didn't know, Nick, that you didn't have the right information. You know how we say you don't know enough? I don't know how you didn't know that you didn't know enough before you press publish on that. How did you press? See, some of y'all need better friends. Everybody wants to hate on ADOS and not talk to us. But you had talked to me, I would have told you, don't you do that. Don't you dare do that. You keep your own company. See, you said I hurt an entire community, and it pained me to my core. I thought it couldn't get any worse. Then I watched my own community turn on me and call me a sellout for apologizing. Well, I don't think they just called you a sellout for apologizing, Nick. I think they called you a sellout. I think they called you a sellout for a very specific reason. You got a lot of people in trouble, Nick, and you were irresponsible. There ain't nobody else gonna say it. It's a lot of people running around here boot licking and won't tell you the truth. I don't care. You got a lot of people love you and they rolled with you. You had a lot of people on that ledge with you. Right? A lot of people on that ledge with you. You Nick Cannon and they love you. And they rode with you and you walked them off on a plank and then you left them there by themselves. That's not what leaders do, sir. That's not what leaders do. Let me pull up one other thing. Hold on for 1 second, fam. And you can't be, let me say something else. You can't be the kind of person who talks one way because you feel some way. You can't be, listen, be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself, Nick. Is this your manager? Nick, has this man ever served as your manager? Is he Jewish? Is he white? Let me bring down his face a little bit so you can see him. Is this him? See, you can't have us walking out on the ledge for you. Now, understand who this man is. This man is Michael Goldman, right? Now, you can't be the man who talk about how white people is this and they savages and Jews is savages, but then the man look like the man just managing you, you know. Goldman is a television producer or works with you. Known for being the manager of American entertainer Nick Cannon. He has also produced many projects by Cannon, such as the Nick Cannon Show, Wildin' Out, and all this other stuff. Let me tell you something. You can't be coming to me getting. I have a problem. I have a problem with Negroes that get other Negroes all hopped up and upset and on screen saying anti-Semitic stuff when this has been your manager. When you be doing stuff for anti-white stuff. When your whole bread and butter has been built by a lot of white people with a lot of white people, sir. You don't get to say that. You don't get to walk my people out on the plane because they believe in you. They believe in you, but they don't know you. They don't know what you've been doing and how you getting deals and who you working with. You don't get to do that. And if I was Mr. Goldman and done got you all this work with you to get all this money, and I'm white or whatever, I would have certain issues too. What you talking about, Nick? You didn't say that when you was with me. You didn't talk about that when we was getting money together and I was getting money with you. You didn't have it to say then, did you? But now that you trying to get a black audience and everybody's in the podcast YouTube game now, you want to talk all tough like you didn't need me. Like we didn't work together as look like brothers, like they're having a good time right there. See, you can't do it. It don't work that way. You had a whole community of people ride with you and say stuff that got them in trouble. And then you backed out and do what I knew you was always going to do. I knew you was going to do it. I knew you was going to back out of. You had no choice because it was powerless posturing. You knew you had no leverage to get no wilding out. You knew you had no leverage to get what you wanted to get. You knew you was about to get shut down and shut out. So how are you mad at people who called you whatever they called you? They called you what they... Listen. You walk them out on the pledge. You know the worst thing you can do as a leader? You know the worst thing you can do as a leader? The worst thing you can do as a leader is walk your people out on a ledge and you stand over there and they fall off. That's what you did. So I don't want to hear all your whimpering. I don't want to hear all your whining. I don't want to hear everything you got to say about how, it's my own people and they own me. I don't know why they own me, but they own me. Nah. You go chill out with Goldman then. If it means so much to you. That's your man's, right? He hooked you up. That's a good white man. Right? Y'all made money together. Y'all broke bread together many a day. No, you don't get to come over here now and call him he's a savage and savage. No, And some of y'all have some personal resentment that don't belong to us. Now let me move on to your boy, Mr. Troubleman, really quickly. Really quickly. I saw him. Lord of mercy. I saw him on the Breakfast Club talking. I liked informed celebrities, but this man decided he was everything. He was everything to everybody. He was everything to everybody. I'm just gonna hit this real quick because I ain't even got time for T.I. Honestly. I know T.I. been through a lot with Kanye. He been through a lot with a lot of stuff. He was for Kanye until he was against Kanye. He had a lot going on. And now he said he want Lloyds of London to give the money. And he decided on 10% because he decided on 13% originally because we're 13% of America. Then he dropped it down to 10% because he said he like round numbers. What the? He just done made up something. And then Lloyds of London didn't call him back. And he said they ain't call me back because it's the weekend. He told the Breakfast Club. Now they ain't call you back, T.I., because you T.I. And y'all are all doing the same thing the New York Times is doing in terms of getting in front. We were having a whole conversation about reparations until you Negroes got out front and started doing stuff. So now I got to talk about anti-Semitism. There's a way to talk about racism, whether it be regular white people or Jewish people. There's a way to talk about anti-ADOSness within communities without doing what y'all did. So now we get all these articles about black celebrities being anti-Semitic because y'all won't just join along. And just say, hey, ADOS is on something. You want to make up your own stuff. I don't know what the heck I watched with T.I. The man said everything. The man said reparations, and then Charlemagne said, I see every marginalized people is the same as us. If there's against white supremacy, then T.I. used the word people of color. And I love people of color and all this stuff. I'm tired of these slick talking people who used to hustle because once a hustler, always a hustler. That's what I'm learning. I'm tired of this stuff. All these doggone hustlers running around. That's why I don't do. People like Yvette, why don't you do it with more celebrities? Listen, I appreciate celebrities who do their research. I appreciate it like the Shaka Khan tweet. I appreciate people who like, look, but half these people don't do that. They just hustling, trying to be part of the moment. I don't know why you didn't know enough. The man talked about, we letting the oppressor educate our kids. This is the school system. We got to change the school system. That's some more. Then you talk about buying power. T.I. was talking about buying power in the same breath as reparations. Them two things don't go together. They don't go together. Walked y'all off a ledge. 13%. Lloyds of London ain't called me back. They ain't gonna call you back. What they call you back? I wouldn't call you back. The hell. Then he said we get 44 trillion because I took the 13%. What in the world? What kind of math is that? You didn't even give no good. Well, we 13%. I think every Negro get 1 million. That's why I think I made it up in my head right now. Well, donkey dog doo-doo. What does that mean? You can't make stuff up. This is not how we do policy. And I have to talk about them because Black America talk about them. You know, it ain't no place where they just say, well, you know what? These people don't know nothing. So we're gonna laugh and giggle at them, but we know they're not. No, Negroes, we just go full steam ahead behind these people. Yeah, I like T.I.'s plan. And stop telling everybody about African culture. We was ripped from our culture. Listen, you don't know nothing about being ripped from nowhere. Your mammy and grandmammy was here. You don't know nothing about that. I understand, but let that go right now. We won't even be talking about that no more. That ain't even part of it. And you say things that don't go together. T.I. see a lot of things that don't go together. God, a lot of things that just don't go together. What you doing? It's like coleslaw and mashed potatoes. Some things just don't go together. Don't put them two things together. Then you say, well, we got until we stand up to address these atrocities. What you mean? Then Charlamagne said, what you mean by that? Well, I'm saying it could mean a lot of things. Oh, all y'all slick people get on my nerves. Hustlers. He was understanding this man was, T.I. was both. He was both. He was both Che Guevara and Booker T. Washington at the same time. And that's how I always know when I'm being hustled. If somebody is of all things and to everybody, you hustling me. I know a hustle when I see a hustle. If you everything and nothing at the same time, you's hustling me. And I don't like being hustled. I don't want that watch. I don't think it's real. I think it's gonna change my little wrist to green. And I don't like green wrists. Then you meet with Trump, T.I. Then you meet with Trump over like opportunity zones. Then you do that. Wasn't you there? Was you the one with a little red tie? I think Charlamagne wore regular clothes. Wasn't you there with meeting with opportunity zones? And now you want to be Malcolm X. I don't even really want to go into Ice Cube because I don't even know what he was talking about. He was so slow and slurred. I don't know what he was talking about. He was so slow. I never knew Ice Cube was such bad TV until I saw him on the Breakfast Club. He was talking all slow and stuff. I don't even know how you managed to go to these other shows that I done seen you on. And he was saying, about his plan. Antonio covered. Go watch his video. I'm not going to go through it. I think we needed a jump start. We already here. What you mean a jump start? A lot of people contacted me and told me a lot of stuff that I said is already in their plans. Yeah, a lot of stuff you trying to rebuild a wheel that's already out there. It's a little raggedy wheel too. And you said a bunch of stuff too, anti-Semitic stuff you done picked up from some stuff. What's wrong with y'all? Do you know that that's like a huge albatross? You run around saying a bunch of anti-Semitic stuff. That's a huge albatross around your neck. And you don't even get it. You ain't even got nothing from no real source. We're not talking about what really happens in terms of, there's a lot of good cases. There's a lot of good conversations to be made about, like there was I think there was an article about, I read a while ago about Jewish people in the slave trade, in terms of what happened during that period. So there are a lot of conversations to be had. I'm not saying there aren't. There are a lot of intelligent conversations to be had about racism within that community. Intelligent conversations to be had. You can't just go off some Professor Griff telling you. It's books out there, it's articles about that can tell you exactly what happened, when happened, and what was done to us by them and all these other communities that claim oppressed, right? And who were the Holocaust was horrible. That was a crime against humanity. I agree. But then, like the Irish, a lot of y'all came here and put your boot on the neck of black people here. ADOS, you did that. You did that. There are conversations to be had about that, and there are ways to have that conversation. You did it all wrong with some half knowledge and half stuff, and then then T.I. come after with Lloyd's of London, then Puff Daddy come and say, I'm gonna hire Nick. Well, Puff, you don't pay nobody where you at. You don't pay your own people. You claim to love them, but you don't pay them. And I know why, because it's like boys. Ain't no real business. He gonna pay you $3 and potato wedges and on a 1099. And so everybody got upset when Nick came out and said he was gonna step with his radio show, and he said he was gonna when he apologized and did what everybody should have known was gonna happen. I don't know where everybody was. I don't know how everybody didn't know this was gonna happen. I don't know how everybody didn't know this was going to happen. Sincere apologies. Yeah, because you said some Professor Griff stuff. You should have just give your sincere apologies for somebody from that dumb stuff you said. What is wrong with y'all? I don't know what's wrong with everybody. There are conversations to be had about what happened after slavery and how empires were built by people, not all in the discrimination in the Jewish community and what they did after slavery. But let me tell you something. Nick Cannon, that those conversations are conversations that I could have about discrimination against ADOS by Jewish people, white people. You can't have that conversation if this guy's your manager, though. You can't call anybody savage as white people if this guy is working with you on projects. See, a lot of y'all go and be real white, and then you go and come back and try to be real black, as a way to kind of build an online or YouTube following. And we kind of done with that. We kind of finished with that. You don't get to do that. Right? You don't get to do that. Hold on, let me see one. Let me pull up one other image. You don't get to do that. I don't know what everybody think they doing. Everybody's so black now. Ain't they black? They real black now. Oh, well. I don't wear a cap, I wear a turban. I know where I'm from. Everybody's blackity black. ADOS, ADOSness. But I don't know about that. Because here's the thing. All of this blackity black. Same thing goes with Ice Cube. Ice Cube. Roger Mason Jr. calls Big Three hostile and racist after being fired for alleged corruption. Did you fire this black man, Cube? And was you in business with all these white people that you're talking about now? Oh, but now you got a plan. You got a plan now, don't you, Cube? Oh, yes, you do. Listen, sometimes you have to understand when you are not the vehicle for a certain message. I don't have any problem with you doing business with anybody. Nick Cannon, Ice Cube, I don't have an issue. You cannot, though, be the vehicle for what you're trying to be the vehicle for. And you certainly cannot do what Nick Cannon did in terms of black people. Listen, black people want to support you. Black people love you. I like you. I love you. I think you're a great entertainer. In that sense, you were always a guy who didn't cuss, and do a bunch of stuff. I enjoyed that. But understand, you walked a lot of people off a ledge. And they said some stuff that they probably shouldn't have said. And now they're going to have to live with that. Because of what you did. And what you did was hypocritical. Now you have to own that. You fired the black commissioner, Ice Cube. You have to own that. And you were working with a bunch of white people. Now you don't get to come out here and pretend like you still F the police. You've done a lot since then. Your manager, partner, whatever, was a man named Goldman, a white man, Nick Cannon. And you didn't tell him to his face, I'm sure, that he's a savage or whatever. I think he's Jewish. I'm sure you didn't say that to his face either. What you thought about that? You don't get, so you can't lead this conversation and have this conversation. That's not nothing that you can do. Sometimes you got to know when to leave stuff alone. And I say that as I wrap this up. I'm not even going to talk about Kanye. We had an hour and everybody know he crazy. And you in a mess too, Kanye, because you deleted some tweets where you said your wife was at the hotel with Meek Mill. You in quite a mess. It's quite a pickle you've gotten yourself into. But you deserve the pickle and the whole sandwich. So I say that to say all this is the same. From the New York Times and everybody is getting us off of what we should be dealing with. And we see when Nick Cannon says, give me I demand rights. We say, oh, power. I'm power with the black man. Sometimes you got to learn when to pump the brakes and not really retweet or pay attention and move on and do something else. Go eat yourself a sandwich. Go live your best life. You ain't always got to be the one to have the conversation and do the support. You got to know the background. Go do a little research. Is this person doing what they said they do? How they do? When they do? Go have yourself a milkshake. Maybe this person doesn't deserve this level of support given their history. Maybe they made a mistake they gonna have to own on their own. You have to consider these things. And the same thing, because what happens from the New York Times trying to move us out of the way, it's the same thing, the same effect, whether it's intentional or not, it's the same effect of now we got to talk about T.I. Now we got to talk about Nick Cannon. Now we got to talk about whether or not black celebrities are anti-Semitic. We got to have all these other conversations, or with the New York Times, we just don't exist. So now we're not even here. So we got to fight to be here. Now we got to fight for the space to be here. Now we got to fight over whether or not we even exist. Oh wait, no, now we got to fight over something somebody else just said, because they take all the oxygen out the room. There's so many things. Either people try to take us out the room, or they try to take all the oxygen out the room. Either way, it's horrible for us, and we have to not only fight against the New York Times and publications for trying to erase what we know happened. We have to push back against people who are getting in the way of an agenda. Look, we have an agenda. We have a reparations claim. It's a justice claim. It's not a demand. We're not taking no hostages or nothing like that. Stop using the wrong language. We have it all. Can you just work with us? Can you just, if you're going to do anything, like, can you just work with us and do it? Do you have to do it the way you're trying to do it? Do you have to just steal all the attention because you got a bunch of ugly bright lights behind you? Do you have to do it that way? Is that necessary? How is that helpful to what we're trying to do? Because we're trying to do is collective uplift. Look, T.I., you got in there with a calculator. He was just putting stuff together, and it was so crazy. He was just, I think 10%, if we 13%, I think we get 13% of lawyers in London. Yeah, that's why they ain't called you back, though. Because you just made up something off. You just pulled something out your butt. It don't work that way. Life don't work that way. Life is sometimes hard. But it's hard work. We're going to have to get to doing the hard work. And hard work also means ignoring stuff that don't make no sense and pushing back against stuff that we know is wrong. Because it has the same end point, which is getting us out of here and putting somebody else in the center of the conversation. So I'm going to leave it at that, fam. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm finna go to break. I'm so country. I'm finna go to break. I'm going to go to break. I am going to go to break, and I'm going to pull up the calls and open the phone line so you all can become a part of the conversation. I tell you, I'm finna go to the day. I'm finna go. And we are back, fam. We are back. I'm going to go straight into the calls because I want to hear what people got to say. What you got to say. What you got to talk about. Anyway, let me go to 765. 765. What is your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
What's up, man? This is Jermaine calling from Dallas.
What's up, Jermaine? How you been?
It's been a long time.
Yeah, how you
been? I've
been
been wanting to call you. I've been all right. I've been wanting to call you since this whole Nick Cannon thing popped out. Okay. So I sent you a screenshot on Twitter.
Okay.
You didn't share what Nick Cannon said on Facebook.
What he said?
The reason why black people, like the reason why he got so much backlash from black people wasn't the fact that he apologized. It was what he said on Facebook, which essentially he came out and reversed everything that he said in that interview. He basically said everything he said was BS.
Oh.
He was like, I got it from some bad sources. You know what I mean? It was all the information was wrong. I shouldn't have said it. So basically, what he did was he rolled back on everything he said about the Hebrew Israelites and all of that. He rolled back on all of that. So he had a lot of. Now I'm not going to sit here and say that what they feel or what they think is wrong. I'm not very. You know what I mean? I'm not very knowledgeable on that. I do have a lot of friends and family that are Hebrew Israelites or whatever. So they follow that.
Okay.
However, all of them were getting behind him because he was saying those type of things, and they were saying that he was speaking the truth. So when he went back and rolled back on all of that and said, "No, none of that was true. I messed up. I shouldn't have said none of that." That's why people were so upset with him.
Yeah, because.
And then on top.
Go ahead, fam. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I wanted to get your opinion on that anyway.
Nah, because I'm like, well, if it was wrong, you should have known it was wrong before you said it. If you feel like it was wrong, like, don't get my thing is, don't get people hopped up and like people are supporting you because you have the Hebrew Israelites supporting you now because they're like, finally or whatever, we getting attention and like, yeah, this is right. And then like now you just go and you throw them to the wolves. Like, you need to know whether or not you gonna stand for this. Like, you need to know whether or not, before I say something, and everybody makes mistakes, but I'm saying, before I say something, I know whether or not, okay, this is going to have some extreme blowback. Am I going to stand with this when it happens? And the answer is yes, I'm going to stand with it. Like, all of what's happened with ADOS is me and Antonio, like, standing with stuff. That, like, regardless of, like, it may not make people happy, but we're going to stand with it. You got to be willing to stand with it. And people are pissed because they got on board with you and you didn't stand with the stuff you said. Like,
And Yvette, it's far more insidious than that because I've always had a problem with Nick Cannon because I always felt like he wore race as a costume whenever he needs support. You know what I mean? From the Eminem thing and everything. However, he recorded that video last year.
Really?
And he dropped it a couple weeks ago because he thought, oh man, the atmosphere that we in, the Black Lives Matter. He thought that he can drop something like that and gain unilateral support, and he wouldn't get any blowback because he was like, this is the atmosphere, this is the perfect time. But he recorded that video last year.
Wow. I did not know that. So he dropped it now after the Black Lives, after the whole people, which is not Black Lives Matter. People just say Black Lives do matter, but it's not them. But after this whole, so he decided to drop it then to get, because I don't even know how he thought that wasn't gonna be a bunch of stuff though. How do you not think that? You said a bunch of wild stuff in there.
Yeah, he thought that he was gonna be able to just slide with being able to say that and I've done some digging. Now I didn't know about his manager or anything until I watched Antonio Moore's video. However, the owner of Viacom is a Jew. So I'm sitting over here because I had a lot of friends arguing with me about this. I'm like, how do you insult the person that signs your check and expect them to keep you on payroll?
I ain't never seen
it. And your followers expect them to keep you on payroll.
Well, and here's the thing, you're doing better than all of us. Like, let's be honest. Like, Nick Cannon's check looks better than any check we've ever seen. So, like, part of the problem too is like How do you do that? Your check looks good, and your check looks good partly because of the people you work with. These people are white, Jewish, and everything else. Like, what are you doing?
Yep. Yeah, he had no idea what he had, and I had a lot of people that was thinking like, oh, he was smart. He he was a genius about it. I'm like, nothing about what that man did was smart. That's why he's rolling back on it now. He was not smart when he did that, and he should have thought about his pocketbook before. Like I told him, I found out the reason why he apologized was because not only did he speak to some rabbi or something like that, he spoke to a Jew or whatever, but even Fox came in and pulled his coattail and was like, hey, look, you're going to lose this other show if you keep playing. You already lost the big bag. You lose this little bag that you have with us if you keep messing around and saying what you're saying. And then, so I think that's the reason why he wound up coming out and apologizing. But all that other stuff, yeah, that pretty much was what got the black people against him, was the fact that he rolled back on everything that he said. He pretty much, like, even though I may not believe in anything that he said, there were a lot of people that believed in that stuff. So for you to roll back on that,
the thing is, fam, a lot of people. Now, I'm not putting myself in there, but a lot of people, like, that's why he said it, right? Because a lot of people believe it. That's why you said it, Nick, because you know a lot of people believe this, and you know you would get a lot of views. That's the problem with chasing views. Like, that's the problem. I don't chase views. You know, I try to do the best I can and put out the best information, advocate as best I can for a specific agenda. But when you chase views, there's a lot of views in this space that are not necessarily knowledgeable about a lot of stuff, right? So he was chasing views, but yeah, them views, these two things don't go together. You trying to be the black pharaoh or whatever you is and trying to do this stuff with Hollywood, them two things don't go together. And you haven't even done Hollywood in a way that you can make it go together.
You're absolutely right about that.
You were like a mini Will Smith. He came up as Little Will Smith. That's what he came up as, Little Will Smith. Little Will Smith doesn't get to put on a turban and go talk all this stuff you talking, especially if it don't make no sense.
Also, not only that, but I've seen a lot of people now. I knew that. I'm like, okay, just like you said, you knew he was gonna roll back on all of this. I knew the same thing. I'm like, he's gonna apologize for everything he just said. I didn't think he was gonna call everything he said BS, but I knew he was gonna apologize. But I had a lot of people coming out saying, "Oh man, he gonna be all right. You got P Diddy, he got Oprah." I'm like, how do y'all listen to yourselves? Did y'all not realize that P Diddy was just writing op-eds and things like that last year during the Byron Allen case where he said there was no money?
Yeah, he was saying, Yep. Absolutely. They don't pay attention though.
Somebody else get in.
No, thank you, fam. I appreciate it. That was a good call. They don't pay attention though. They don't pay attention to know. Like, didn't Diddy just say like didn't he and Byron both say like they ain't getting no money from because they explained the whole subscriber thing. They explained the whole thing about how it works and how like you don't get what you're supposed to get and you just be pouring money into stuff. Yeah, I don't know what people talking about, but I agree with the brother. You got a good point. I'm going to 917. I got a lot of 917s. So what 917? What is 917? I'm going to 91786. 91786. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, Yvette? My name is Jabari. I'm from ADOS NYC out here in Harlem.
What's going on?
I got two quick things. Hello?
No, good. What's going on? How you doing?
Yeah. Good. The first thing is I went to this thing out in Harlem like a couple of days ago for like John Lewis.
Okay.
And about the thing you were saying about T.I., when I was there, I talked to somebody there like about reparations, and this dude was like saying, "Oh, well, we can't get reparations because T.I. says we got to establish like a national country or some weird stuff." And then I'm thinking like, these people are just like crazy, just listening to celebrities and all that.
Yeah, it's like, what does it matter what he said?
What you say?
I said, yeah, because what does it matter what T.I. said?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And then I kind of low-key checked him. I was like saying, well, T.I. doesn't really make sense. Actually, people have done reparations without doing all that stuff. And he was like, oh, yeah. He was like, I just said it because T.I. said it. I was like, the hell does T.I. know? And this is my last point. I'll give this off. The second thing is NAACP branch that's out here. It's called the Mid-Manhattan branch. long story short, they had a call about maybe like a few days ago, and they was doing one of those like Zoom calls, you know, that doesn't really do anything. Mm-hmm. And when when they did the call, like I asked them, hey, how is is the NAACP advocate, like, and is the NAACP support reparations? They answered the question. They just linked me to some like paper where they just wrote something like a year ago. And then when I pressed them out the second question, I was like, hey, how are you guys advocating for reparations? Do you guys support Dr. Derry's edit for HR 40? Are you calling Sheila Jackson Lee about that? I think I said something about ADOS. And as soon as I posted that, they kicked me out of the Zoom call, and I couldn't rejoin. So anyway.
Yeah, they hate us. Well, you hate the people who are trying to get reparations. You must hate your own people. Or maybe you just after the bag. Thanks, fam. I appreciate it. Ooh, that's some wild stuff. These people out here, everybody out here wild. It's just wild all the way through. Ooh, it's a bunch of wild people. I'm going to 404. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette. Thank you so much for everything you do. My name is Mrs. Coleman. I'm calling from Prince George's County.
Okay.
And I wanted to tell you that I was working on Capitol Hill, and the one thing that I did learn when I was working on Capitol Hill is that you have to vet information. And that's what I wish a lot of these celebrities would do, is vet the information, you know, research. If they don't know, everybody can't be good at everything.
No.
And they need to get behind, they need to stop playing, get behind you and Tone, and get behind this movement. You know, it's like, for me personally, I vet my information, I research it, I look at your information that you and Tone put out, and then I research it on my own, and then I share it with my family and friends. It's like you have to start with the man in the mirror. People always want to know, well, what can I do? What can we do to make our community better? What can I do to make my family better? Start with your family. Educate. You can't educate the people in your own family about ADOS, about what we're doing to fight for our reparations. Start with that. That's what I always tell people. And as far as Nick Cannon, it's like, excuse me, you have to work woke. If I need my paycheck, so I can't go in there and just be trying to educate the people on the job about ADOS, but I can get my check and go educate my neighbors in my own community, on my block, about ADOS. It's like you got to be smart, and that's what I don't like. I'm from Georgia, but I need T.I. to be quiet, and I agree with you totally. He needs to get on this bandwagon. Like, if you don't know policy, don't talk policy. You know, leave it up to you and Tone. Leave it up to the people that know what they're talking about. And then I need for our people, if you support the movement, then if you can't put your money where your mouth is. Me and my husband, we may not always be able to give $100, but he'll say, well, we're going to put up $25 for Tone and Yvette this month. Or we're going to do $10. You do what you can.
Yep.
That's how I feel, Yvette.
Yep,
we got to put our money where our mouth is. And I want to say this to Yvette. My grandmother, she's 95 years old. She lives in Sandersville, Georgia. She owns her house. She had 100 acres of land, but my granddaddy sold it to some white folks out of ignorance when he was living. But she still lives on her own land. I want to see our people have something. We work hard. I want us to have something. I want us to close this wealth gap. I'm willing to fight and be behind you guys. So if I need to, everybody can't be the out front person. I'm willing to be the person that work behind the scenes. And I support you, and I pray for your protection, and that God continue to provide for you.
Thank you,
fam. And I'm just grateful to talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate that. And thank you, fam. I appreciate that from one Georgia peach to another. Although I might be a little bit spoiled of a peach. But let me just say this. And let me just say this. Like, I told somebody a long time ago. I said it was somebody who said something negative about me, or they wrote something. And I said, you need to understand that ADOS became bigger than me a long time ago. Like, you missed the moment. Like, if you were trying to, like, oh, I'm going to get rid of Yvette and I'm going to get rid of ADOS, or I'm going to get rid of Tone, I'm going to get rid of ADOS, you missed that moment a long time ago, because this movement has become bigger than us. So it's not even less. And I appreciate my fam saying I'm gonna ride behind, but like, nah, you here. Like, y'all are all here. We're all here. Like, you can't like, this whole trying to smear individuals is not gonna work, because like, we're a cohesive group now. It doesn't work now. You missed the moment where you could have just killed the messengers. It's bigger than that now. And I don't know if people understand that. But I'm going to my next call. I am going to 678. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, this is Jacob in Detroit.
What's going on, Jacob?
I'm doing good. I'm a monthly subscriber, and I encourage everyone to follow suit.
Oh,
and it goes along with the last call. It says you can do what you can. The price point is very low. You can still make donations, but at that price point, you can contribute something. So I just want to always plug that.
Oh, thank
you. It's a great thing to do. But so my comments, and again, the theme everybody is saying, we really appreciate what you and Tone are doing. When I post my messages, I always reference you guys. I don't even like saying my name. I say, look, if you want more information, ADOS101.com, Tone Talks, Yvette Cardinal, Sandy Dirty, follow those people. They have the information. They have the data. And I think we got to keep that consistent message. But for tonight's story, or the show tonight, this was a lesson. Like, this is a learning opportunity for all of us. As we get out here, we're doing the work. Don't get caught up in these conversations that don't lead us to where we're trying to get to. Reparations is at the top of the house. Mass incarceration, those other topics fit underneath it. Don't get caught in these little silly conversations about things that don't matter. If Kanye's having a problem, God bless him.
Yep.
If somebody else is doing something over there, pray for them over there. Our mission is clear. We've got the information. We've got the data. Stick to that. So this is a lesson for all of us, myself included. So when someone comes to you with these sidebar conversations about things that don't matter, hey, I ain't got time for that. This is what I'm focused on. You need to focus on this. The other thing, something that you've been saying for a while, and it's starting to stick with me. You talked about this consistent drumbeat that this message has to have, and that word consistent sticks with me. Consistency of data. The data that you guys provide and have provided is always consistent, and it just keeps coming back to the same message. And I'm starting to hear other people. I knew you guys were telling the truth years ago when I heard the same data points from other people who did the work. And I can reference names here, like Angela Blackwell Glover, who was a policy link. She said the bottom half of Black America has no wealth. Like, I've heard that before. When I started hearing Dr. Shanks over at University of Michigan, same thing. Average black family is worth about $2,000. God, that sounds familiar. When you start hearing consistent messages and information, like someone said, verify your facts. Now, if I got all these smart black people telling me the same thing, there's something here. And so consistency of data and message is important. The one thing that I can't figure out, and I'm struggling with it, maybe you have an answer, is this is a focused, data-driven, thoughtful movement and group of people that are galvanized and ready to move and are moving. Why hasn't a smart politician said, look, there's a group of voters over here that's ready to go. Why don't I work with them? Why aren't we seeing more politicians run to that? I mean, when the Tea Party got formed, they ran over there and went to those people because they were ready to do something.
Let me just say one thing. Let me say one thing about the Tea Party. There are a couple of great articles about the Tea Party. People ran to the Tea Party, though, like the Tea Party was getting co-opted at the same time people were running over there. So what was happening with the Tea Party is, you remember you had the Freedom Works or whatever that was built by a politician. That wasn't built by the Tea Party. So what happened was, at the same time that politicians were kind of going over there, and I'm not saying that some of them were authentic Tea Partiers. They absolutely were. But there was also a movement to co-opt the Tea Party. So that's why you saw the Tea Party kind of eventually fizzle and all this stuff like that. And they actually had the Tea Party actually kind of warned Occupy Wall Street in the weirdest of kind of ways, like, don't get co-opted. And I don't know what happened with OWS. But what I'm saying is, like, what I'm saying is, the Tea Party even became something other than the Tea Party. Yeah, you got a couple people elected, but they realized, and Boehner had to, I don't, if you all remember, Boehner, who House majority, whatever, Republican, had a hard time dealing with the new Tea Party people because he was trying to make them to adhere to something, and they had the people on the ground had a different thing or whatever. But I think what happened, the reason you don't see as much of that now, I think there was some success, and this is just my belief, in co-opting the Tea Party, in what was the Tea Party movement. They dealt with them for a while, but they co-opted them. They co-opted a lot of that energy and funneled it back to the Republican Party in general.
And guys, and if everybody listening, I am not comparing ADOS to the Tea Party.
No. I know you're not. I know you're not. But you're comparing grassroots. Tea Party started as a grassroots. It wasn't like Nancy Pelosi said AstroTurf. It was initially before it became AstroTurf. It became AstroTurf. Before it was AstroTurf, it was a grassroots thing, and then it became AstroTurf. I'm just talking about who made it AstroTurf. Like somebody came in and figured out a way to do that. Now, if they could figure out a way to do that with ADOS, then they would be on the side of ADOS. If they could figure out a way to kind of co-opt and make us Pan-Africanists, and so in a way that reparations would never work anyway, then they would be on our side. The problem is right now is that we're still grassroots driven, right? We're driven by the data and we're driven by the people on the ground. People are scared of that. People are very afraid of that.
And so what I'm trying to figure out, and even these celebrities that are out here, and I'll get off the call, but you have a group of people, you have a real movement on the ground. Why not get behind that? Why not add your voice to that? Why not lift that work up and then and allow it to flourish? If you are chasing you're looking for credit, which some of them I know they are, you'll get it by just lifting the group up and getting out of the way. But for some reason, everybody's trying to be the face and just have something to say. And like you said, sometimes it's best to say nothing. You don't have, if you don't know what to say, you don't know how to say it. Your explanation of Nick Cannon was perfect. You can, like somebody said, you can't have that guy signing your check and then down. I'm like, that's just stupid. And for whatever reason, he just got, I don't know who got to him. Maybe he was just feeling himself that day. I don't understand, but it just wasn't thoughtful. So, Yvette, keep up the good work.
Thank you,
support you. I'll continue to be a supporter. You all have a good night. I'm going to keep listening.
Appreciate it, fam. Thank you so much. And I think what happens a lot of times though is celebrities, they're on stage, right? And they get treated a certain way. They get treated like kings and queens when they go around. So they become accustomed to being treated that way. They become accustomed to people laughing at all their jokes. Oh, you so funny. I love your humor. Oh, you so cute. You so this. Oh, and they ask. So they don't want to join something. Like, right? They want to lead. And so if they see ADOS and they decide, like, even if they're wrong, I don't agree with what Yvette or Antonio said about XYZ. What happens is I don't need them. I can do my own thing. Right? I don't need no Yvette, and I don't need no Antonio. I don't need no ADOS and them people. I got my own followers. Do my own thing. Right? And that's kind of what happens. So they just decide that they're going to do their own thing. Because they're narcissists, a lot of these people. They've always been in front of the camera, and they want to be in front of the camera. They don't want to be in front of the camera with 1 million people or 1,000 people. They want to be in front of the camera. They want to be leading the group. So that's why we're here talking about Lloyds of London. Anyway, fam, let me go to the next call. I am going to 206. 206, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, it's 42. I just want to say thank you. You've done well.
Thank you, fam.
Very well. I want to make 2 points, because if I don't keep it there, I will start rambling, because I could go on and on about Nick Cannon. The first one is I had watched a video of his, maybe, and I don't watch many of his videos, but I wanted to see the contrast when he interviewed Tariq Nasheed. And they mentioned reparations, and ADOS was talked about briefly. Okay. But one thing stood out is that Nick Cannon was really clueless when it came to reparations. I'd rather him deal with Zionism. He's further along on challenging Zionism than he is doing reparations. He started going on that whole thing about how the dollar isn't backed by anything. You know what I mean? Like, and not wanting money and all that. And to me, that's like fake woke, blah, blah, blah. Because, I mean, what is gold backed by? It's backed by the same thing as the dollar. It's fiat. We think if it's worth something, you think it's worth something, so it's worth something. But even the dollar is backed by more than that, because it's backed by foreign trade.
Let me just say this, family. I'm gonna let you finish. Let me just say this right quick. Everybody said the dollar ain't backed by nothing. Let me just say this right quick. The dollar is backed by American bullets and American military. That's what it's backed by. If you don't want the jackals to come into your backyard and destroy everything you love and topple your with a coup you didn't even know, it came out of nowhere. Somebody, if you don't, that's what the dollar is backed by. The dollar is backed by blood and steel. That's all I got to say. So go on, fam. I'm sorry.
Oh, and so that kind of rubbed me the wrong way with Nick Cannon in the sense that I'm thinking, should he shouldn't get that education this late in the game. But then when he was talking about Israel, the issue to me was he started going on some pseudo stuff about white people, and maybe like if you're really tactful, you could make that argument. I've heard people make it, but and a lot of the pseudo stuff came from white people, so I'm not even going to get on them for that as much as the whole thing. It goes back to, okay, let's say you're right, and based on my understanding of genetics, I would say Ashkenazi Jews are far more related to Italians and Southern Europeans and people that live in Israel. So let's just say he's right. The thing is, they were able to get Israel as reparations, and they continue to get actual money. And you don't have fake Ashkenazis talking about how money isn't worth anything and it's not backed by anything when the U.S. is giving money to them. That's all I wanted to say.
Oh, thank you, fam. No, you made a great point, fam. Thank you so much for that. Like, the thing is, money, dollar bills, whether you have money on your card or in your pocket, the Jewish community, the descendants of the Holocaust survivors and the descendants have rightfully demanded monies. And you were talking about how the money don't mean nothing because it's not backed by nothing. But see, they would never take you seriously. They're not led in terms of the Jewish community and Holocaust survivors by entertainers. They're led by people attorneys and people who put that stuff together. So I think that's a very good point. Like, yeah, money matters. Stop talking about how money. See, you can't have a reparations conversation and say we deserve reparations, then turn around and say money don't matter. The things don't go together again. Coleslaw and mashed potatoes, it don't go together. Anyway, going to my next call. I'm going to 413. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, this is Jennifer.
Hey, Jennifer, what's going on?
Oh, hey, you need to call me.
I'm sorry?
You need to call me now.
I don't know what Jennifer said. I let Jennifer go because Jennifer said I need to call her. I thought she called in here to talk to us. She said I need to call her. That's what it sounded like. I had to let Jennifer go. What did you talk about? I need to call you. What are we doing? What's going on? Are you okay? See, sometimes we got to everybody start doing a mental health check or whatever on your friends and your family and stuff like that, because people be going through stuff. And people, sometimes people slip. It don't take, you ever seen a brick slip off when you walking and you watching buildings? Sometimes bricks slip off. You got to be careful about that thing. I'm going to my next caller right now. I am going to 629. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? $629. What's going on with the calls at the end? 629, are you there? I ain't got time. 629. Let's keep it moving. What is this? Let me go to 917. What's on your mind? What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Brooklyn.
I know I should know. I don't know why I can't ever remember. What's up, fam? How you doing?
Listen, you better call Jennifer back. Stop playing around.
I ain't calling nobody, fam.
First, I want to shout out Jabari. That's my man from NYC doing the work.
Yeah.
What they do at NYC.
Good people. He good people.
Oh, he was an earlier caller, so I wanted to give him a shout too.
He good people.
Real quick, I know one of the callers, he was saying, I wrote a couple of things down, because with you,
People don't think I'm nervous when I call them, but I'm nervous, and you're making me lose my place. So let me read some of this stuff.
Okay.
So one of the things that one of the callers was saying was, why is there not a politician that's ready to kind of take advantage of the energy that this voter base, our movement, is creating? You know, and other people were saying certain things. The child was saying, you know, mostly is racism. We're not white, so the Tea Party was white, so that was white capital. That was something they can leverage. But one of the things that I wrote down that I feel like is also appropriate was a lot of people that are in these spaces that are trying to co-opt and take over. They prefer fake friendships over real results, and so that kind of goes toward the politicians that will get on board. That also goes toward a lot of the celebrities, the black celebrities that are trying to co-opt the space. You know, I think somebody said that, you know, when it's hard to get somebody to understand something, that when their paycheck depends on them not understanding it.
Yep.
And so with celebrities, you know, and I said this on Twitter on one of your posts, the ADOS movement and the family and what we're building is the grift busters. And so the minute they mention our name and give us the credit, it's a movement that can't be co-opted. There's no bag in it for them. So that's the reason why they got to, you know, adopt the language, adopt all your talking points, adopt all the data, but not say who we are. Because once they do that, the specificity on its own knocks them out the box from being able to take advantage of it. And so, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today, and we were talking about, you know, the different celebrities and the different things that they were talking about, and T.I. talking about $1 million loans and all the foolishness with Ice Cube and his contract. And it was after watching Tone's live, his Tone show on it. And she was saying that, you know, she was one of those people that was like, you know, well, she would be glad that they're saying something. At least they're saying something. And I had to tell her that, you know, it's not enough. She said, well, maybe they just don't know. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, it's possible they just don't know. Matter of fact, it's clear that they just don't know. But that's no excuse, because celebrities, and especially athletes, in their professions and in their everyday lives, to keep their money coming in, all they do all day long is employ and get counsel from experts that are not them. They get accountants to handle their money. They get nutritionists to help them with diets and help them training.
Talk about
and so it's only in this space with Black Americans and what we're fighting for with ADOS that they feel like, hey, I don't need to be an expert. I'm Black.
I can just say anything. I can just say whatever.
Right, I just get to say whatever, but they consult and don't mind taking a back seat to the experts in any other field. And I believe it's because you touched on it too in one of the calls. They're used to being the special Negro. And so if they take the back seat and we get the real results that our movement is pushing for, then they no longer are special.
That's true.
And they no longer are able to set the trends, because that's what the ADOS movement is doing. We're setting the trend. There's a whole bunch of people trying to make reparations a hot line. We got out here and made reparations a hot song.
Ooh, no, it wasn't just a bar, was it? It was a whole song. Ooh, talk about it.
So, you know, they can't co-opt it if they say our name, because we the owners of it. That's what it is. And lastly, I want to close on this. Well, two things and then I'm done, because I know people say I go on and on forever, but I be missing you, Yvette. I be missing you.
I appreciate that. We good.
Yeah. It's a quote that a philosopher said. It says, all truth passes through 3 stages. First is ridiculed, second is violently opposed, and third is accepted as self-evident. And so if we understand that and know that's the emotions that our movement is going through, and we're going to be the drumbeat that we are, it's only a matter of time before we do what we're fighting for. We just got to keep up the work. And lastly, I know Tone deconstructed Hamilton, and we talked about how problematic it was with the whitewashing, and pretty much putting white historical figures in blackface, so to speak. But it was a line in there. I watched the play. I did watch it when it was on Disney Plus.
Okay.
And it was one of the things that he said that stood out to me, and I just want to close the call on this, or my call on this. It says, Lin-Manuel Miranda said, "I'd rather be divisive than indecisive. So let's drop the niceties." And so I'm saying that that because, you know, he wrote the play. This is a Puerto Rican man, and he's writing it for, you know, these, you know, founding fathers. But it shows that him as a Puerto Rican person and him portraying these white historical figures, that no one else is afraid to be divisive for what they really want. And that's the space we in. And so I'll tell the ADOS family, I love y'all for being able to have the strong and uncomfortable conversation. But I think we all would rather be divisive than indecisive in this moment.
Exactly. Thank you, fam. I couldn't agree with you more. I could not agree with you more. Because especially, let me just say this, this is especially true when you are decisive on something that you know you're right about. It's different if you're being decisive on something and you're like, well, I might be wrong. I might have screwed the pooch on this thing right here. No, we know we exactly right. We get it. No, this is right. This is what we're owed. Justice claim, and we need a transformative black agenda that has to come with policy, all this stuff. We're right. When you know you're right, you have to move in a certain direction. He sure didn't speak on it that time. You sure didn't preach a word. 917, I'm coming to you. 917, what's your name? What's going on with you? Where you calling from?
Hey, Yvette, how you doing? This is James. I called a couple weeks ago when you had on the Beyonce episode about the Wakandanization of her video and all that stuff.
Okay.
I'm from New York. My parents are Jamaican, but I'm born and raised here in America.
Okay.
And look, you've had great callers, so I just got to say that. And I've learned a lot from you over the last couple of years, Heavy. Actually, I wanted to ask you a question, right? And I'll tie it all in.
Okay.
You're a graduate of Howard University, am I correct? The same Howard that Nick Cannon was supposed to have graduated from just about a couple months ago, right?
I didn't even know that happened. I know he filmed there, but I didn't know.
Yeah, supposedly he just graduated from Howard. That's what if I'm wrong, that hopefully the ADOS members can say I'm wrong. My question for you is this. Has Howard ever invited you to speak at Howard, be a guest lecturer, adjunct professor, anything like that?
Not only have they never reached out to me, I emailed Howard like I think it was like a year ago or something, and nobody even responded to my email. So no, that's your
okay. Let's put a pin. Let's put a pin in that, because I'm going to show you how this actually all connects with Nick Cannon, and I'm right there to call. I'm not going to ramble, so hopefully I can connect this right. But I'm going to show you something. So one of the reasons why I like your show is because I'm not ADOS. My parents are Jamaican, but every now and again I'll go back to Jamaica and I'll see how stuff is going. And when I used to go back to Jamaica, I couldn't really understand why they would do things in a certain way, right? So let me just give an example. I promise I will try to make this connect, right? So I'm in Jamaica last year, and I go to get like a driver's license or whatever, and it was just so long, and it was just madness, the bureaucracy, just people doing nothing. Just they're just there. I don't know how they're getting paid, but they're not doing anything. They're literally just standing around. To make a long story short, right? I was upset. Initially, I was upset, but then I realized that, well, if they brought in 2 computers and just some basic software, that everybody would get laid off, right? And I realized, well, what happens here is this. I realized that from your teachings, from the teachings of you guys in Tone, that, you know what, it's the system of racism, white supremacy is actually really deep. And the teachings that you have given over the years, right, has actually influenced even my ideas of Jamaica, even my ideas of West African countries that they claim we come from. So I'm saying that because a lot of ADOS in particular have this fantasization with non-ADOS history, right? So they'll tell you that they're the original Hebrews or Moors. They'll tell you about the great kingdoms and things there of Africa where we came from. And I just started to see something a couple years back that we were here before the white man, right? Like we must have sailed over here, and we were here before then.
Okay. Here's my thing. Why don't you just claim the history that you have here in America? Listen, you've been here for 400 years. Why are you talking about the pyramids when you have Benjamin Banneker? Why are you talking about you brought cultivation to the Indians or whatever when you've got George Washington Carver? Why are you talking about, you invented mathematics and sciences when you have Charles Drew and Neil deGrasse Tyson? Why don't you claim the history that you have here? Now, let me bring this in now to Howard and to them not inviting you. So I mentioned before, when I called before, that for years, my parents used to take me to listen to all these historians that a lot of these very same, I don't want to curse, black people, these crazy black people refer to. I used to go and listen to them all the time when I was younger. I grew up in it. But I want you to think about something. Think about how many years myself or these other individuals have been indoctrinated by these false philosophies. And then think about when you lose all of those years of studying what about they came before Columbus and these great empires and all these and the Hebrew Israelites, this and that. Think about when you lose those years of studying that stuff, you then lose those years that you could be studying your own history, right? Your history here in ADOS. Listen, if you really want to affect change in the diaspora, and make no mistake about it, ADOS affects change in the diaspora. ADOS is the fountain of inspiration for change throughout the black world. That's not hyperbole. Like that's a fact. That is right. And I think that's why there are some black immigrants that some of the allies that listen to your show, like they actually get that. Yeah. You can go to West Indies, you can go to Africa, and they're still bleaching their skin, right? They don't really have a black power movement. They don't really understand these elements. They still refer to Black America as a sort of a beacon for understanding of racism, white supremacy, stuff that they can't even see themselves. But you have a history here. So now I'm tying in with Howard. Wait a minute. So Yvette Carnell and Tone Talks, but since you went to the school, one of the most distinct intellectual leaders in this space, and they don't invite you?
They don't claim you.
No, but here's what I'm saying, because I sometimes see in the comments some of the ADOS members talk about Africans and foreign blacks, being over the top here in America. And I get it. But the real issue is not really them, because they're smaller in number. And I told you before, they just run a game on y'all, and y'all not really picking up.
Get into it.
The real issue is ADOS sabotaging ADOS movements. That's what this really is. Listen, I done told you, the foreign blacks that come here are running game. They're running game because they don't really want to have to go back to where they're from. So if you're talking about repatriating and going back to them places, they can't even get a foothold in those places because it's run by the old world. The old world meaning the old chiefs, the people who control power there, they run it. So the ones even born here don't necessarily go back there that tough because they know the layout of how it goes. They know if they want to make their wealth, if they want to make influence change for their families, they have to stay here in America or in some cases Europe. But the question then becomes, why is ADOS sabotaging ADOS movement? Listen, I'm not even going to get into Nick Cannon because he's just not smart enough. Those guys are just not smart enough. But what I will say is this. How is it that you have these HBCUs? And I've seen sometimes in the comments, I see people who are graduates. Think about it. People who are graduates from HBCUs. And I'm not trying to diss HBCUs in particular. I'm just saying this. They're graduates from HBCUs, and I see it in the comments over the years. And I've gone back even a few years to watch your stuff. And they're saying, man, stuff you and Tone have taught me, I've never heard it before. I didn't get this. And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute. So what the hell are you studying at the damn HBCU?
And let me say this, fam. Let me say this too. The Howard of today is not even the Howard that I went to, right? You know, like the Howard that I went to did teach a lot of stuff that got me here today, and it confused me in a lot of ways too, though. Like a lot of, it's funny, the Howard, I got a set of good stuff from Howard and a bundle of confusion, because they were still on the Pan-African and stuff, but they still taught a lot of ADOS stuff to anchor me. So you gave me a kit and caboodle of stuff that confused me, and a kit and caboodle of stuff that was good stuff, depending on the professor. Right? That's some wild stuff. That's wild in and of itself.
Yeah. No, look, I'm just baffled by it, because, like I said, I see people all the time and they've never heard of it. And so I guess for me, when I listen to you and Tone talk, it actually fills in the gap. And so I just want to tie this in real quick, because I know you're pressed for time. I'm going to disagree with you and Tone about something, right?
Okay, go ahead.
And it ties into this a little bit. I'm going to disagree. You and Tone always say that they didn't, like in the past, we didn't really have the data to inform a lot of the decisions or the information that we have now, the analysis that we have now. I'm going to disagree with you on that. And I think you guys, I think when you say that, I understand why you do it, because, yeah, we didn't have as much of the quantity of the data that we do now. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to tell you where I think you and Tone do a bit of a disservice to yourself.
Okay.
And I'm going to use Roland Martin's show as an example, right? So I used to watch Roland Martin's show because really Roland Martin's show at the time in his heyday when he was on BT was the only place you could really get black news. It's not like when we were growing up in the 80s where you had Tony Brown's Journal or Like It Is, and then you had talk radio, black talk radio in your local city.
Yeah,
that was, it was all over the place.
That's true.
Right? So, for instance, Roland Martin would have a couple of segments on the show. It'd be all on the same night, right? He'd have a segment where they're talking about the level of disparity of wealth with black families. Then they'll talk about the level of disparity of education. Then they'll talk about, the level of disparity in health, right? And he would talk about this with all his shows, right? He got into it. He was one of the ones that you could really find in popular news, right? And then when a segment with Trump saying black people are poor, then he was like, no, we're not poor. Dude, you just for the last 3 segments of your show was telling me that we're behind in wealth, you're behind in education, you're behind it. So what the hell are you talking about? So what I'm saying to you in Tone is this. It's not the quantity or the data wasn't there, it's the interpretation. And this is where it also ties into with the HBCUs. It's the interpretation of the information. This is where you and Tone have differed, and I think this is why you've gotten such a groundswell of people following behind you. The information was always there, but it was always a group of black people, maybe the petty bourgeoisie blacks or whoever, maybe those journalist blacks like Nicole Hannah-Jones, whoever, where they didn't want to seem, I guess, to come across as they were, in the eyes of white people, diminished. But you just don't have it. And instead of just saying, man, you know what, we really just don't have it, you make up these lies, these confusions, and then you have these other wayward people that talk about, we sailed over here and we didn't come over here as slaves. Listen, if you say you didn't come over here as slaves, then you don't have the justice claim for reparations.
Yeah, so let it go.
Right?
So just let it go. Yeah, so let's let it go. If you didn't come over here as a slave, you don't get no monies, and you don't let's let it go. It's over with. The justice claim is over. Because we're tying slavery. Yeah, that's the original sin. So we're tying it. Everything is tethered to that, and everything flows from that. I'm not saying that you don't have something with Jim Crow or whatever, but this is the anchor that we're putting this in. And I agree with you, fam. I agree with you. Yeah, it's some horrible stuff. But thank you, fam.
Thank you so much for your time.
No problem, fam. I appreciate you. And I appreciate. Let me just make this absolutely clear to everybody. Everybody got to understand. I appreciate allies. We don't. The ADOS. The job of ADOS is not to admonish black immigrant allies or any other ally. The job of ADOS is to be able to discern and distinguish allies from enemies. You got to be able to tell allies from enemies. That is the job. It is not for you to go and just be to go out and run out and be xenophobic. People have accused us of that long enough. That is some FBA stuff. Let's leave it with them. We don't want no parts of it. That was a good call, and you told on you. Oh, we wanna ally tell on people. They will tell on people. So that is not the job. Well, we welcome ally. Love them to death. Love you to death. We just know we see that's an ally. We got to know who's the enemy too. Enemies don't talk like that and give up the goods and are supportive. We know an ally and we know an enemy. We love allies. We don't like enemies. This is a different thing. You got to be able. It's a nuanced argument. You understand? Anyway, fam, we gotta put it at the end. It's the end of it because I know y'all be half asleep. Y'all be half asleep, spilling your libations all over the good rug and the good chair. It ain't. Don't mess up your furniture. That ain't right. So anyway, fam, this is the end of the show for today. I do apologize if you not get through. I know we didn't have the Monday show. A lot of stuff going on in my space. I understand that, but we're gonna make up for it next week. Think about it. We'll have 3 shows, maybe 4. So do not fret. Do not be dismayed or discombobulated, or do not get yourself or anybody else in any kind of kerfuffle. You understand? So fam, please, all jokes aside, please hit that like button. If you are in here, please hit that like button for me. I would appreciate it. Please do not forget, if you have not read the book, a week is still a good enough time to read a book, right? You really don't need more than about 3-4 days. So that's a good enough time. If you have not read the book for the book club, July the 30th, if you have not read it, get with it, and read it. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. If you have not done that, please share this episode. If you want to become a patron, patreon.com/WaCarnell. You want to donate, go to donatebrown.com. I got to check on something, but I think subscribe to brown.com as well if you want to subscribe to get I think I set it up for the newsletter now, so whatever. Please also, if you have bought a shirt, we also at ADOS have had interruptions due to COVID. Atlanta was closed, then it was open, and that's where my shirt shop is. So just understand that I have not forgotten about you. I have some shirts to send out tomorrow. This is an in-house job, so means me packing. So I will be doing that. So please don't think I forgot. Hey, I forgot my shirt. I bought that thing 3 weeks ago. I that heifer tried to keep all my money. No, I'm not. I'm gonna get it out. So just pump your brakes, hold your mule, and hit the like button, fam. So anyway, fam, listen. Please take care of yourself. Please wear your mask. Wear your mask over your face, not under your nose. Don't put it on your neck. You might pick up germs down there that you done had and somebody was talking to you while you had the mask on. Please wear your mask. Understand that coronavirus really causes blood clots we're not found in. Blood clots and strokes and different things. We do not want to be the number of people affected by that. We want to just wear our masks when we leave the house and put them on our face and cover our noses. That's what we want to be, because COVID is still real. We got a whole lot of things. It's like being ADOS in America is like a landmine. We walking over all sorts of stuff and trying to make it not blow up. So we just have to do that. Please wear your mask. Please wear your mask. Wear your mask. Wear your mask and keep a safe distance. Social distancing is not over. Anyway, fam, be easy breezy. Take care of yourself. Get some rest. And, take a bubble bath. Self-care is important. Until next time.